We are, we're live. Okay, let me just turn that down so there's no sound. Okay, I'll introduce you, Mary, and then we'll get stuck into it. So before we get started, as you can see, my camera, for people that are watching, my camera and the background's very different. So I'm at home, so me and my family are in isolation. I was just explaining to Mary, I actually have COVID at the moment. I'm laughing because I'm okay. I wouldn't be laughing if I was unwell. I've just got a very, very irritating cough. So I want to apologise if you're watching tonight and on replay and you hear me coughing constantly. I'm absolutely fine. It's just a very tickly throat. My daughter had it first of all. She's absolutely fine. At the moment, we're all okay. So please don't worry. So I'm really excited for this evening. So as you can see, we've got Mary here. So been actually using Mary's pictures for some of our see, there we go. Been using some of Mary's pictures for some of our adverts. As you can see, she looks incredible. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about Mary's journey. So where she was before, what she tried, what was bothering her, and then kind of what's happened since and how she feels now. Now, me and Mary had a quick chat, but I don't know, kind of what Mary's going to say. I'm sure it'll be positive because I know Mary's really happy with her progress. So before we get into it, if you're watching live, throw me a hashtag live in the comments below. If you're watching this on replay in the future, for those that are new, I do a live stream every single Monday at 8 o'clock. And it will either be something like this, which is a client success story, or it'll be where I cover a particular topic, or we talk about essentially how we're getting the results, like we're getting with Mary, with the women that we work with. So every single Monday, 8 p.m. Obviously, if you can attend live, if you can engage with it live, you're going to get more out of it. You're going to be able to ask questions, and it's probably going to be the best thing for you. However, if you can't, all of these live streams stay in the group. So they go into the guide section. So if you're new to this group, in fact, throw me a hashtag newbie. If you're in there, if you're new to this is your first live stream. If you're new to the group, or if you've been here a while and you still don't know this, every single live stream we do on a Monday night is saved in the guide section. To find that's at the top of the group, and there is a ton. So there's loads of educational videos which break down exactly how we're getting the results that we're getting with women like Mary. Now, I'm really excited to share Mary's story this evening because, well, she's done incredibly well. So I'm going to stop chatting. I'm going to stop nattering on, and I'm going to now let Mary do the talking. I'm going to try not to cough too much. So best place to start, Mary, is before we started working together, can you just kind of share with everyone what was really bothering you? Like, what was the problems you were facing, the challenges you were facing, and hence why you ended up looking for some kind of guidance.
Yep. Okay. Evening, everybody. Nice to be talking to you and sharing my story. I hope it helps some of you. I think one thing that when I think back as to where I was feeling ashamed. I was feeling, I'm a professional woman. I'm supposed to be very capable. Why can't I just lose some weight? And, I was frustrated. So I felt a bit of a failure. And I felt unattractive. I was uncomfortable in my clothes. I didn't like having this spare tire around my middle, bulging over my jeans. And I think because I was a bit paranoid about how I was feeling and how felt I looked, I was constantly thinking about food as well, which is then counterproductive. And I was pretty miserable, so that's where I started. And I had tried a lot of things before. I'd never gone to a diet club. That's sort of just not my thing. But I'd done lots of crash diets. I'd done detoxes. I had tried Herbalife once, and all of these things absolutely worked. I always lost weight on them. But when I finished them, eventually I would then put all the weight back on because it didn't actually teach me anything. It gave me a routine for a little while, and it got me into my bikini for a holiday or whatever it was. But then nothing really sustained me.
How many times do you feel that had happened over your kind of?
Oh God.
No.
dozens, I would say. You know, I remember a grapefruit diet and a banana crash diet that I used to, especially in sort of my early 20s, I used to go to quite often, which really worked for me. So, you know, I'd do those, you know, every 6 months or something in order to get back down again. And the detox diet, Carol Vorderman detox diet, I'm not sure I'm supposed to mention her name, but anyway, that worked really well. That worked really well. But again, and I probably did that a number of times, but then again, it was, you know, it's not something you wanted to be on all the time. It's not really sort of food I would always want to eat all the time. But so again, lots of times, I don't know how many, but I think, I mean, the crash diets I probably phased out and then went on to more things like the detox diets and Herbalife. And I actually grew up with my mum sort of struggling with her weight, and she used to have like Limits biscuits and things like that. So I just sort of think, oh, these are the things you have to do when you want to lose weight. You find something that suits you, and then you do it. But she was exactly the same. She'd lose a bit of weight, then she'd put it back on again. So she'd go back on her biscuits. So I suppose I sort of grew up with thinking you just yo-yoed like that, and perhaps didn't know any better. And then I think you know, weight gradually just started piling and getting more and more, and inches as well. You know, so I was getting fatter. And then of course we can come to the more recent past with the first lockdown, and all I did, I think, in the first lockdown was eat. So, you know, I put on a lot of inches during that time, and I really felt bad. And then at the beginning of August, I broke my ankle. And so any exercise that may have been helping me in any way, I couldn't do. And it was a bit troublesome. So I was inactive for quite some time, which is then when I thought, hang on a minute, I've got to do something completely different.
So with all the other diets that you kind of done before, the crash diets, so you said you regained weight, and did you regain more weight each time? So each time you started a new one, you were slightly heavier?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So I don't know. I think I said most of those diets were restrictive. So, you know, then I'm thinking, right, when I get off it, I can eat normally and eat more. And yeah, so then I'd go up another couple of pounds. So then I'd go on the diet again, and yes, I'd lose half of that perhaps, but you know, that would be all right. It's not too bad. And then, yes, so it would just go up and up. And I said, it not just weight, actually sort of inches as well, because I remember that say a year ago, my weight was still going up very slightly, but I felt I was actually getting bigger proportionately, if that makes sense. So, you know, I was getting fatter and more fat on my body, but still a small weight increase as well.
And so when you came to speak to me, how much weight was it that you wanted to lose?
So my target was £10. So if I sort of put this into context, so I'm 5'3.5", so I'm not very tall, and I'm quite small boned. And so I was at 9 stone when I spoke to you, and 9 stone for me, you know, was pretty heavy. And I chose 8 stone 4 because probably in my late 20s, I suppose, I was about 8 stone 4, and I was for quite a long period of time. So I thought, well, that's okay. I want to get back to where I was then. So that was my target to lose £10.
I just really wanted to highlight that, because I've spoken to probably quite a few women over the last few weeks, and obviously a lot of the success stories that they see in this group are women that have lost like 30, 40, 50 pounds, and they're like, well, I'm not sure this is the right place for me. So, you know, we've got you on this week. Your goal was £10. I've got Ange in a couple of weeks. She only lost about a stone in weight, but she's actually dropped 3 dress sizes. So just want to highlight to anyone watching, like, it's not necessarily like we only work with women that have 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds or more. It's more important that actually, from our perspective, that, you know, like Mary, she's in a place where she wanted some help. She was ready to change. She was ready to try something different. And actually, like, it's something that's really important. Like, as you could probably sense from Mary, it was important at the time that we first spoke to each other. Okay, so what appealed to you for you to end up working with us?
So as I said, I was looking for something different, and I'm, you know, an accountant by trade, so I like rules, I like sort of routine, and I thought, right, this concept of having a one-to-one and somebody to be accountable to, I think that will work for me. Although I know we did have also a discussion at the time, so I think, will it work for me, Adam? I'm not really sure. Anyway, it did. So I think that's what really, I thought, this is going to be different. I'm not on my own. I've got somebody holding my hand, whereas all the others, I was on my own. And you have to have a lot of willpower. I don't necessarily always have willpower. So having somebody to be accountable to each week and to talk to when I needed to, then, you know, I felt that would really help me. And you know, it's not just the one-to-one relationship either. You know, you have your coach, and I probably didn't know this at the time, but, you know, I know now that you've got access to all the other coaches as well, and you've got all your talks that you do that you were just mentioning. So there's just a whole package of stuff that you give people in order to help them understand what is the right thing to do, and how to maintain this ongoing and sustain you. And I think that's what's amazing about it, and that's what's been amazing for me. And you can take this stuff or leave it. You know, you don't have to do half the stuff that you put on the table, but it's there to help you if you want it.
So it's funny you say that. We had a lady who signed up a couple of weeks ago called Jill, and she saw obviously the video I did the other day where I was saying, look, this is the structure of the group, and she messaged me and said, if I had known what was available, if I knew like everything, if I'd seen like what was actually I was getting myself into, I wouldn't have even hesitated. So obviously you said that for you, you were unsure that it would work for you. I'm gonna be honest, like I would say 90% of the women I speak to feel exactly that way. What made you kind of take that jump? Why did you take that jump?
I think it's because I thought, what if I don't do this, what am I going to do? You know, I've tried all these other things. I even tried hypnosis once, actually, but that just didn't work at all for me. You know, I've tried all these other things. I cannot go above 9 stone. And you know, what am I going to do? What else would I do if I don't do this? And you know, I did read lots of testimonials that you'd got, and they all sounded very genuine. You know, because I'm also a bit of a skeptic. You know, they sounded very genuine. They sounded real people. And I had been involved in your 5-day trial, which, you know, had given me a little bit of a taster. So I just thought, I'm going to give it a go. And I was like really encouraged by my hubby as well. Not that he wanted me, because he felt I was absolutely fine anyway, that I didn't need to lose any weight. But he could see that I was unhappy. And, you know, for the investment, he said, just do it. You know, if it's going to make you happy, otherwise it might be always, what if? And then another 6 months goes by, and perhaps I have gone over the 9 stone, and it then all gets just more difficult. And you know, we're all getting older. It's better to grasp the nettle while you can, and make the most of things.
And obviously, you said that you've probably done, you know, a dozen different crash diets. If you were to add up, like if we're talking about investment if you were to add up how much you invested in all of the other crash diets in the past, would it have been more than what you've invested with us or less?
Well, certainly wouldn't have been less. So I guess it would have to have been more, especially things like Herbalife, were really quite costly. But if I was sort of counselling somebody on it now, I don't think you sort of can't measure happiness and health in pounds, can you? You have to sort of think about, we're only here once, how can I make this the best for me and the best for my family and partners, husbands, boyfriends, whatever it is. And also, just because you pay the money, you've still got to work at it. You've got to understand it. So it sort of becomes a no-brainer. If you've got the money, I mean, some people perhaps don't have the money, but if you've got the money, it's an investment that is the outcome just justifies the means.
So tell us about, so the goal was £10.
Yep.
What's been the results?
Yeah, so I lost that £10 in 8 weeks, which was just like miraculous. So no, I got down to got rid of my £10. So then I thought, okay, hang on a minute then, what am I going to do now? So I thought, okay, I'll go for a stone. So I then did the stone in 13 weeks. So that was just Christmas week. So that was a nice Christmas present. So and then my plan was just to maintain. I didn't want to go below 8 stone. 8 stone was fine. However, actually, I have lost a little bit more. So I've lost 17 pounds now. But that hasn't been trying, and I've now stabilised at that. So I'm 7'11", and I think that's sort of the right weight for me now. I must have been 7'11" at some time in my life, but it's not an age that I remember ever being 7'11". But no. So I'm feeling great. I've been out shopping. I'm sort of in size 8 jeans now, and I was probably sort of a size 11 before. So some clothes would be 12, some would be sort of 10s, but a bit tight. But an easy size 8 now, and so I feel great. I feel slim. I haven't got my spare tire. I feel sexy. I feel healthy. I enjoy going to the shops and trying some clothes on. I'm looking forward, when we get completely out of lockdown, sort of having parties and things and being able to wear some really nice clothes, so that you can feel good in.
And has there been any other kind of benefits of that? Obviously, you've lost weight, you've lost inches, you've lost, as you said, the spare tire. You're feeling like a lot better in yourself. Is there any other benefits that you've kind of got out of this?
Well, my husband tells me I'm an awful lot happier. So that so it's not just me feeling happier. It actually outwardly people are saying I'm happier. And whenever I have gone out, obviously we haven't seen that many people over the last few months, but the people I have seen have said, "Oh, you look so well," and it's great for people to say, "Oh, you're looking slim," and so that's so good for just your self-esteem and your mental health. Because I'm sure me, like other people in the last year, there's been times when my mental health has been a bit sticky, to say the least, with not knowing what's really going to happen. I've been working at home. I've been lucky that I have been able to work for the whole period, but working at home since March last year is a long time not to sort of see your colleagues and stuff. So yeah, I think my self-esteem, my happiness, I guess that then reflects in relationship with my husband and with other people. So yeah.
Awesome. That's really, really good to hear. And obviously now you're at a point where you want to maintain. Do you feel that you have everything that you need in order to do that? Like, or do you feel that this is another diet where you're going to regain the weight?
No, I do feel I have everything I need. And on the the occasions then when you go out for a meal, and okay, you probably, I think whenever anybody goes out for a meal, you perhaps have more alcohol or more food than you would normally have on a weekday. And yeah, I might put on a pound, but I know exactly why. I know exactly what to do to get back, or what to do beforehand in order to sort of compensate. So I do feel fully equipped. I still get benefit, however, from listening to the talks and having reminders from the coaches. But it is sort of a bit scary to think, yes, at some point I'm going to be on my own, but I still do feel confident that I will be able to cope.
Why do you feel confident with this, that this isn't going to be like the other crash diets? What's the difference between all those other things that you've done and this?
Well, because I've already proven that I can maintain. So I got to the target, the second target at Christmas, and here we are, having January, February, March, 4 months, 5 months later, however many it is. Yeah, and I've even lost another couple of pounds. So, and the thing is, some of the stuff, I mean, I am a snacker, and I am still a snacker. I eat little and often, and I haven't really changed that habit. I still have snacks, but I make sure I understand, the value of them. And so I have changed habits, and also there's things that I used to eat a lot of, which I thought I would eat a lot of forever. I actually don't really want those anymore. I still will eat them, but I don't want them in the quantities that I had before. So I have trained myself, if you like, to have different habits. And there's a rule, isn't there, that as long as you do something for a certain amount of time, it becomes a habit. And so I've got to that point with a number of with foods, as well as the way I eat and the way I drink and everything. So it's not hard. And in fact, I didn't find the first 13 weeks hard. Yes, it was following some rules in order to understand the habits that I needed to develop, perhaps. I don't know if is habit the right word? I suppose it is. But I never felt hungry during that period at all.
So what do you think is the biggest difference between the crash diets, like herbal, like all of those kinds of things, and the coaching? Like, what do you think is the main difference?
I'm educated, so you have, and the team have educated me. You've given me knowledge. So that is what it is. I mean, a crash diet, etc., is you follow what's on a piece of paper, and yes, you lose some weight, but it doesn't teach you anything. So what you do is teach people about food. I've even attended a talk with Tom, I think, on alcohol. So you teach lots of different things, which then has educated me to understand how I need to live going forward in order to be in the body I want.
I get a lot of I speak to a lot of women that say, I know what to do. Would you say that you were in that camp before you started, or like for anyone that kind of feels that way, like what kind of would you say?
Well, I suppose before I started, if anybody said, surely you know what to do in order to lose weight, and I said, yeah, eat less calories. So that's not the only part of the story, is it? You don't want to calorie count for the rest of your life. Well, I didn't. I didn't even want to calorie count at the beginning. So I think probably everybody knows they need to eat less in order to lose weight, but it's knowing how to eat differently, and then reach your goals that way without feeling hungry.
So you haven't felt hungry. So you've lost a stone, you've got past your goal, and you've not felt hungry. That's awesome. That's really cool.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna just have a quick kind of interlude where I'm gonna speak to people watching about potentially, working with us if they're interested. While I'm talking about that, so ladies, if you're watching at home, this is an opportunity for you to write any questions for Mary that you want to ask her. I'm going to ask her for her number one tip, the biggest thing that she's felt helped her, to see if that can help you. But if you are watching and you've got questions for Mary, just start writing them, stick them in the comments below, and I'll make sure that I ask them of Mary. But before we do that, let's see if I can get through this without coughing my guts up. So if you've watched tonight and you think, do you know what, I'm ready to make that jump. Like, I want someone, you know, a coach, like a highly qualified expert, to take me by the hand, show me exactly how to do it, and do it in a way that's sustainable, and give you the understanding, the tools, so that you can do it for the rest of your life. Then all you've got to do is comment "I'm next" below in the comments. And the process after you've commented I'm next is either me or someone from my team will message you, and we'll have a conversation, and we'll literally see what it is you're looking to achieve. We'll see if no, I couldn't do it. We'll see if we're able to help you. And if we are able to help you, we'll potentially book you in for a call. Typically, the calls that we have, 30, 45 minutes, where we're going to really dive deep into your diet, your activity, your lifestyle, and really, really make sure that we're a good fit. Now, hopefully already that you're seeing that this is a completely different process to any diet. I don't know any other diets, whatever, that will spend that time. One, to message you, to get to know you. Two, to have like a 45-minute, even hour. Sometimes the calls go on longer than an hour, to truly find out about you and whether you're a fit for what we do. Now, you know, we can't help everyone. So, for example, I had a woman this morning I was speaking to, and she's just had a baby 3 months ago. That's not what we specialize in. And I actually showed her someone else that I think is a better fit for what she wants. So, you know, just because we have a conversation doesn't mean there's any obligation, doesn't mean we're guaranteed to work together. It just, you know, let's see if we can help you. So if you're if you're interested and you want to see if we can take you by the hand, get you the results that you want, and finally do this once and for all for the rest of your life, comment "I'm next" below in the comments, and we can start that conversation. So let's see if we've got any questions. I can see a couple. Okay, so we've got one question. So Susan, who's actually one of our latest members, she said, "What exercise did you do, Mary?"
So, as I said, when I joined, I just broke my ankle. So I didn't really do anything to start with. And then when I did start, which would have been before Christmas, so before I'd lost the full stone, it was very gentle Pilates. So not cardiovascular at all. And by Christmas, I was able to go for a proper walk. So I really lost that stone by virtually doing no exercise.
And your body shape changed how you wanted it to as well in that time?
Yeah. I mean, I think exercise, I know I've exercised more since, so I think that has helped because it does tone. But I haven't seen that exercising, certainly the exercise I do, doesn't help me lose weight. It just helps me tone. So, you know, now I try and do, I've got a bad back at the moment, so I'm not doing anything, but I try and do yoga once a week with Lindsay, and I try and do Pilates, and I try and do lots of walking with the dogs. So that's generally the level of exercise that I get.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially for ladies that are going through the menopause. It's really important to understand that stress has a big impact, and you know, if you're training really, really hard because of those lower levels of estrogen and progesterone, they're essentially, especially estrogen, it's a protective hormone. So if you're like, you know, doing HIIT and you're training ever so hard, like all the time, it's gonna be really hard for you to recover. And actually you might struggle with weight loss for various reasons with that. So I think actually what you do, Mary, is a really, really good balance of stuff, like, and will help with, you know, stress relief, like all kinds of things. So the one thing I'm going to ask, sorry, I'm going to ask for your kind of top tip, Mary. But before I go into that, I just want to make really, really clear. So a lot of women that watch these client success stories, they'll say, oh, well, I don't really know how. Now, the reason I don't go into this is because actually it's not very helpful. I could go through all of these client success stories and I could go, right, Mary, what did you do first? Then what did you do? Then what did you do? And we could go through the same with Joe, Sam, Sarah, everybody that's been on this. But the problem would be is that you'd watch it, not you, Mary, but the ladies watching at home, and you'd go, hold on, I'm really confused. Mary did this, Joe did this, Sam did this, Sarah did that. They're not doing the same thing. And I had someone message me today and they said, oh, you know, well, what is it? Like, what's the methodology? And the methodology is it's a completely tailored solution. Like it has to fit you and it has to fit your lifestyle. Like we have got clients that calorie count and like it and stick with it. We've got clients that hate it and use like a different method, and we've got clients who use a different method. And then exercise, like Mary didn't do any exercise for the first 12 weeks. Now she's doing Pilates yoga. We've got clients that run. We've got clients that cycle. Like there is no one set approach. And I think what Mary said about the education part is understanding how it works and understanding like how what you do, how you can lose weight and keep it off is really, really important. So for those watching thinking, well, just tell me how you do it, it would be different for every person. So it wouldn't be helpful for me to say, well, Mary did this, then this, then this, because actually it's probably not going to be the same approach for you and the same approach for the next person and the next person. So Mary, what would be your number one big tip, the big thing that has really helped you, do you think?
It's really difficult just to say one thing. So I might have to say more than one, but I think one is don't just judge yourself on the scales. I think it's important to how you feel and what your measurements are doing as well. So, you know, I sort of look at all of them because I might feel, oh, I feel a bit big today, or a bit bigger, should I say, a bit bigger today. And perhaps my measurements may show that, but the scales actually show I've lost some weight. So, you know, I think some people get paranoid on one or the other, and it's better perhaps to think about everything. And I'm going to give you another one as well, in that, you know, if people do join, I think they really have to trust their coach because, as you said, this is tailor-made and they might be asking you to do something that you think, well, you know, that's not going to work. But they're the experts and that's what you're paying them for. So, you know, probably forget everything you've thought was the right thing about trying to lose weight before and put your trust in your coach, and you will see results.
Love that. Thanks, Mary. We've actually got another question that's just come in. So what have you found the toughest change that you've made for yourself?
That's an easy one, drinking more water. So I do still find that a little bit hard actually, because I was always very poor at drinking any water. In fact, I haven't got my water bottle on my desk at the moment, it's in the next room. But so I found that tough, but it was very, very important for me to make sure that I was drinking the right amount of water. So, and again, it sort of develops a new habit for me.
And sorry, my phone died. There was a second part to that as well, but I've lost it.
Oh.
So yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. I can't even see who the comment was from, so I do apologise. I can't see the second part. Obviously, I can see if Mary can see that in the comments or whatever.
I'm not seeing comments actually. How do I see comments? In chat.
If you click on the live, it should pop up, but it seems to have. I don't know whether it's my internet or it seems to have died.
I can't see it, but what I can do is go in afterwards and put a comment on the website.
Oh, there we go. Right. Okay, so I think we've got it. Okay, so the second question, we're back. So apologies for those who couldn't see the questions. Is there anything you've had to switch because it didn't work for you?
I don't know if there's anything that I had to switch, but you know, there's foods that I have found that I really only want to have once a week because they might make me feel bloated, or you know is going to sort of bulk me out. Although I really like them, and so but I don't want to feel like that. So I'm quite happy only to have them once a week. So I think that's all really. There's nothing that I don't eat, and I don't think anything in ARC that ARC asked me to do I then have not been able to do. I think I've tried everything, and some things I might do more than others, but there's nothing that I've actually sort of stopped doing or swapped out completely. And even now, I had a discussion with Katie a couple of weeks ago about protein, and we got talking about seeds, for instance. So I'm actually having more seeds and enjoying them just over the last few weeks.
I think that's something as well I want to touch on very quickly. So I think a lot of women come into the group and they see me kind of say, you can eat whatever you like. And I think they think that you can eat as much as you like. There's a big difference. So I don't know, did you want to kind of explain, like, from your point of view as a client, what it means?
Yeah, so it does mean I can eat whatever I like. But clearly, if I ate packets of biscuits every day, I'm going to put weight on. But the fact that I can eat whatever I like in moderation means that I don't have cravings for anything, because in fact, probably most nights I will have a chocolate. I love Lindt chocolates, so there's always a box in the cupboard. But I will have a chocolate. I may even have two on occasions, but generally I will have one. And but there would be nothing. I wouldn't feel guilty about having more than one, because perhaps the next night I won't have any at all. So I don't know if you want to add to that, Adam. But
yeah, I think it's just really, really important to distinguish. So when I say that you can eat, you can still eat pasta and potato and chocolate and wine, that doesn't mean that I'm saying you can like just literally stuff your face with all the stuff that you love. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But if you haven't already, what I'd recommend you do is you watch in the guide section, in the first section, there's a pillar 1 video, and then our kind of 3 pillar videos. And I think hopefully that explains it a little bit better. But essentially, like, we give you the freedom. So we give you the knowledge and the understanding so that you can have whatever you want, and how to manipulate your diet. Because essentially, one food doesn't make you fat, and one food doesn't make you lose weight. Like, one donut never made anyone fat, one salad never made anyone skinny. So it's about what your diet looks like over the course of a week or over the course of a month. Now, with that, you could have a glass of wine every day. You can have a chocolate bar every single day, like, without shadow of a doubt. But then you need to understand how to, like, manipulate or how to adjust your diet for that day, that week, to make sure that it fits so that you get results. So that's part of the process. And I think one of the reasons, I think Mary really hit hit the nail on the head there. One of the reasons that our clients don't feel hungry, don't have cravings, is because they have that flexibility. There isn't, I shouldn't have that. I feel guilty for having it, because actually it's like, no, it's okay to have that, and then this is what we need to do for the next couple of days going forward. So hopefully that explains that better. So I think some people jump into the group and go, yeah, right, it's too good to be true. There's no way you can just eat chocolate and pizza all the time. No, you can't have it every single meal all the time, but you can include it every day, and you can include everything that you love, like, guilt-free. I think that's pretty much it. There's no more questions. Is there anything you wanted to add at all, Mary, before we go?
We were just sort of adding to that last one, really. I think another thing that really helped me and still helps me is the lovely recipes that you supply. So I've got certain recipes that every week I'm going to have that particular recipe, because it's it's very nutritious, it's gorgeous, and it's a good balance of proteins, etc., within it. And so I think that's really helped me through the process as well, because as I said at the beginning, I sort of like rules. So if, you know, if I've got my stock of recipes that are my staples, if you like. Weekends, yeah, we might do something completely different. And of course, we eat out as well. But I think it's, again, another tool that you supply, the recipe. And I've asked a few times for some more, and there's always more. So there seems to be millions of them about. So I think people find those useful.
I think we've got about something like 300-400 recipes now. So yeah, there is a ton, and Katie produces more every single week. So
yeah, absolutely, yes, yeah. I often do one of hers.
Yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate your time, Mary. Thank you ever so much for coming on this evening. Ladies that have watched this evening, thank you so much for watching. And I can see that, you know, Roisin, who I think is fairly new, Kim's a new member. Bridget was a member that's just finished. She lost over, I think, 16 pounds and feels like she has everything she needs now to keep the weight off. Susan's a new member, Jackie. So thank you. Thank you, ladies, for watching this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've taken something away from it. Feel free to drop any more kind of questions in the comments below, or, you know, private message me. As I said, if you want to have a discussion about us potentially, you know, getting you the results you want, just comment "I'm next." And we'll take it from there. Thank you ever so much, Mary, and thank you everyone that's watched this evening, and see you all soon.